Immediately the Spirit drove Jesus out into the wilderness, and he remained there for 40 days and was tempted by Satan. He was with the wild beasts, and the angels looked after him. After John's arrest, Jesus appeared in Galilee, proclaiming the good news of the gospel. This is the time of fulfillment. The reign of God is at hand. Change your hearts and minds, and believe this good news. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated. And I could tell you that I forgot to put the microphone on, but that really wouldn't be true. I just need this podium to hold me up for us. We'll go with that. This evening, there's a thread that runs through these readings. And it really runs through all of them. There's a transition going on. One thing is happening, and that is pulled away, or taken away, or left by God, the forces of God. And another thing is inserted. Maybe it's like the delete button. You know, we've got the human race. We've got this Noah story, this myth of Noah. And the whole world is flooded. In our last several years, we've seen some floods that are of biblical proportion, and it reminds me of that. At any rate, the flood in the story extinguishes humankind except for Noah and maybe 8 people and the creatures 2 by 2. And then God makes a promise and says, never again, and puts the rainbow in the sky. So, again, I'll use the delete button. If something is deleted and something else enters in. Someone who believed, someone who was true, someone who loved God came in, brought some people, brought a new seed for humanity, seed of goodness, perhaps. Not to say that everybody was swept away was not good, but nonetheless, a new thing started in place of old. We talk about the psalm changing our hearts, changing who we are, washing us clean. And that leads to the idea of baptism. Frequently, at least for me, I used to think that baptism was, well, we enter into the water and we're cleaned and then we're sinless, and we come out, we got the little white thing on and the candle, and we're all sinless and we're clean. And in reality, as one studies theology a little deeper, baptism is symbolic of dying. The water is where you drowned. The water is going into the water, and people used to be baptized in the river, symbolizing their death. Or again, the delete button, or being extinguished, and they come out, born again in Christ. When I first heard that, I wasn't fond of the theory, really. I didn't like the idea that baptism signified death, but that was what the early church said. There are actually, in ruins, old houses where there are baptismal areas where there's steps, and you go down into the water, and then you come out the other side. So, it's way more than being cleaned. It's actually starting a new life. The reality of this is that God has the ability and the desire to change our hearts, to change us, to fill us. And in Lent, this is ever present. I just want to talk about some words in the gospel that perhaps aren't words that we would pick out. And that is that Jesus is found among the wild beasts, and the angels ministered to him. That's not really the high point of the gospel, but when you think about it, Jesus is among the wild beasts in the desert. I'm not really sure what wild beasts live in the desert. Snakes, I think, but otherwise I really don't know. But Jesus is among wild beasts, which kind of signifies danger. And yet, the angels are ministering to Jesus there. So we have another sort of a paradox here. There's danger, and yet Jesus, as God's Son, is being ministered to by angels. And that really makes me think about how we sit during Lent. We live, if you will, among wild beasts. Not the wild beasts of the desert, perhaps, but the wild beasts in our own hearts, the wild beasts in society. And yet, I believe we're ministered to by angels, as Jesus was. Marty put a note on the web. I believe it came from Joan. Is that where it came from? About how, well, I'm not going to quote it well because I didn't write it down, but I'll just paraphrase that when we come to God, God is is not looking for our medals and our diplomas and our honors and our credentials. God looks for our wounds. So just picture yourself at the gate with St. Peter and God says, let me see your wounds. I think most of us, first of all, we'd say, really? What? I thought you wanted my bio, my credentials. But no, Jesus wants to see our wounds. Once we realize that, maybe each and every one of us could say, well, where do I start? Which wound do you want to see first? Because all of us indeed are wounded. We're all wounded. So during Lent, what I want to share with you is a story about emptying. I want to share a story that it's actually a personal experience that happened to me. I can't take credit for it because I had no idea it would happen. It happened in the form of, I guess, a prayer. But I was going through a particularly hard time in my life with the illness of someone very dear to me, a youngster, and sometimes I don't always know what's going on, but I feel things that are not coming, that are not good. So I had this sense of pending doom. Anybody share? Everybody had a feeling of pending doom? Okay, good. So you know where I'm coming from. Each and every one of us has had an experience where we're facing something, unknown or known, where we say, oh my God, not that. No, if you're a kid or a child, maybe it's a test, maybe it's a new school. If you're adults, whatever age, it could be relational, it could be health-wise, it could be career-wise, it could be a million things, faith crisis, it could be anything. But I think all of us share that idea, that woundedness of something coming, and I can't face it. I don't know what I'm going to do. This can't be happening. Not this, not me, not now. So, during this Lent, about 11 years ago, I had this sense of pending doom, and it was actually Good Friday, so I went to a service, and I had a prayer, and it really was not my own prayer. I swear, it was the angels ministering to me, because frankly, I wasn't bright enough to come up with this prayer. I just really didn't understand this to be a prayer. And my prayer was, empty me. God, I want to be empty. Please take everything from me. Everything. Every thought, every worry, every notion, every to-do list, every fear. Take it all away from me. And my reasoning was, and this probably did come somewhat from me, my reasoning was, whatever this is, I can't handle it. I'm afraid. I'm devastated. I don't know what this is, but I can't handle it. I don't want to deal with it. I haven't got what it takes. I don't possess what it takes. I don't have it. Please, empty me. And it really was rather perplexing because I thought, well, normally you'd pray, well, I'm going to pray for strength. I'm going to pray, I don't have it all going on. And it was like, pray for me. Like, there's a song. I don't really know exactly what the name of it is, but it's this more of you, less of me, Jesus, that kind of a notion. And that's what this prayer was. So I went to the service asking for everything to be taken away from me in my heart and soul. Everything to be gone. A clean slate in me. Create in me a newness, a nothingness. So that, God, so that you can fill me with courage, with compassion, with strength, with patience. So that you can fill me with what it is that I need, that I don't even know that I need, for these coming days. So I went to the service, very poignant, and let's just say the wild beasts left me. The service was beautiful, and I could feel the things that I usually think about, or the things that I usually pray about, or the things that are usually whirling around in our heads. They were all gone. I came home, I felt totally empty, totally clean, totally, no, I don't mean clean like, holier than thou, pure. I just mean a clean slate. I got home and I was free of all previous thoughts, notions, expectations. And as God works, the angels were ministering to me, and the wild beasts were right there. And that very day, I don't think I was home 10 minutes, and the worst fears came. The phone call, nothing we can do, someone is dying, it's a child. Terror, literal terror. And to this day, it's my belief, and that's probably why I'm talking about it tonight. I did not possess what it took to face that night. There was nothing in my repertoire. There was nothing in my tool bag that prepared me for what I saw that night. But because I prayed this prayer of empty me, fill me with, I didn't even know what to ask to be filled with. That's part of the emptiness. Just, God, help me. Angels, minister to me. And that strength and that patience, it did come. The ability to walk softly and not be fearful and not terrified and not run away. To deal with whatever came was there. The emptiness served its purpose. I have to say I've never been able to get empty again since then. Some of you may know. I sometimes can be a little busy. But this one time, I was able to take everything, to allow God, to allow the angels to minister to me, take away all the beasts, take away all the burden, take away all the things that clutter our lives, so that I could fill myself with the strength, the courage, the compassion, the patience of our Creator to face this task, this trial. It wasn't just a task, it was months of issues. So really what I'm asking tonight is that we look at ourselves and that we somehow, and like I said, I can't really take credit for saying, oh God, empty me. I don't think that was my own original notion. But I do sometimes use that prayer to be empty, to be like a vessel, a carving out of ourselves in order to fill ourselves with God's gifts and to be filled with courage and love and strength so that we can face the days ahead in this Lent and in our lives. I pray that all of us can be emptied. As odd as it sounds to pray for emptiness, we usually pray for fullness, but I pray for all of us to be able to carve out a spot, to be a vessel, even among the wild beasts, to be able, to be open, to be still and know that God is here and can fill our hearts, and to be that vessel so that Christ can fill us and breathe in us God's work, God's will, God's love, and the courage to live our lives in the context of the love of our Creator. So my prayer for us this week and this Lent is that we are able to be still and be empty and not miss the angels ministering to us and bringing us what we need to be courageous and to be living in Christ.